Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Euro Trade. This is Thursday, 15th of May. So we're halfway through the month, and we're going to see what the markets will bring into the end of this week. Now, if you're here for the first time, if we're meeting for the first time, my name is TopstepTV, and I've got frogs in my throat. So give me a minute. All right, that should be a little bit better. I literally haven't spoken to anyone just yet. So yes, good morning. TopstepTV here with the Euro Trade. I am going to wait until one of the products I'm interested in pops the initial balance. So that's going to be either platinum or copper. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I have been trading for 18 years, and about 14 years out of that, I've been a prop trader. So I started back in offices when you had to pay a lot of money to actually get a chance to trade for a prop firm, especially if you weren't from any sort of financial backgrounds, and I certainly wasn't. I was a session musician way before that, all the way since like 1994. And then I decided to switch careers, and I fell in love with trading, got absolutely obsessed with it. I needed to know everything about everything, and that kicked me off into a path of the next sort of 9-10 years to hone my skills. And now I'm here, I'm sharing my experience, and yeah. Faith and Mercy says, you have a new room? I have a new house. So I moved out of London. I'm now a country bumpkin. Yes. I have cows out the back. And this is a much bigger place. It is more suitable for our lifestyle. I have 8 dogs. They're not massive, but you know, there's 8 dogs. And over here we have fields both sides. There is a road, but then there's like a farm one end, farm the other end. And what's best about this place is that literally 2 minutes down the road, I have a private secure field that you can kind of rent, and you can be safe. You can be sure that there's not going to be any weird dogs there trying to attack mine and stuff. So for our lifestyle, working from home, having 8 dogs, and not really going out much because, you know, Granny D over here, this is a much better lifestyle for us. So we decided to make the big move. So we're no longer Londoners. We're now in Surrey, on the cusp of sort of Surrey and West Sussex, if you know anything about England. So yeah, I was considering maybe next week, because we're still sorting out the place, and the room where there's the living room, the kitchen is absolutely enormous. And I was thinking maybe I can set up one of the days there. Might be a while because I want to get a new sofa that we ordered like a while back, but obviously sofas take like 4 months to actually arrive. Param Deep Singh says, which volume indicator do you use? I just use the native Topstep X one. So if you go into indicators, there is something called the volume profile visible range, VPVR, and that's these blue and yellow lines that you can see on the side here. Almighty Beardman said, what time is it there? It's 9:35 a.m. So it's kind of morning, it's early, but yeah, it's not like the middle of the night for me or anything like that. It's just that. Pat Salah Hittard said, UK houses are quite small. Not this one. This is why we bought it. This is a pretty spacious, like it's not a palace or anything, but it's a single story, 4 bedroom, 4 bathroom space. And I have a garden that's probably about 500 square meters. We have a double garage. And yeah, so it's pretty beautiful. we're very, very happy to be here. So yeah, I'm just still in like a daze and honeymoon of getting a new place. So it feels very good. Yeah. Bobby Mead says, "Whoa, redneck life is the best life." I won't disagree. So yeah. Volume is a bit quiet. Yeah, it's probably me. I'm not talking loud enough because I'm pretty chill. Let me see if I can improve that. How do I do that? Because my main computer didn't survive the move. So unfortunately, it's a little bit of a bodge. So I'm just using this microphone here from the Asus Duo laptop. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, I don't know. How can I make this happen? I don't know. So yeah, this laptop I only use when I'm traveling. Is it maybe... Do you know what? I'm just going to try and talk louder like I normally do rather than kind of whispering. Because yeah, I do need to wake up. All right. Let's see some comments here. Ooh, Nasdaq's dropping. Don't care. I don't trade Nasdaq. Let's see. AB says, beginning Sunday, August 25th, any new or reset Topstep accounts will be created without a daily loss limit. That happened a long time ago, mate. Like, well, we haven't had the daily loss limit. Am I missing something? We haven't had the daily loss limit for, I don't know, since last year. Like, are you just now realizing that? But it is only on Topstep. So obviously Topstep is our native platform, and there are some perks that you won't get elsewhere. So yeah. Alexander says, would like to go for a country walk with my doggos and yours. I mean, you know, if you're in the area, that can be arranged. Definitely. There is another place, sort of like 6 minutes drive down the road, which is like more of a woodland walk, and it's also a private area. Can you do an analysis on CL? Yeah. Crude oil is in rollover, by the way. That means the volume will be split. Whoa, some old levels here. Volume will be split between an old contract, which is now the front month, and the new one. So I am not a huge fan of trading it while it's in rollover because of that. Because, you know, you're expecting some big move, and all the moves kind of happen within 1 30-minute time period and then nothing. Or it kind of bleeds back the other way. So it's more of a range-bound condition. The only time you will get some purely committed moves is maybe just as they're rolling, because they actually have to switch contracts, right? So they will be bailing or positioning. Connor says, D, you don't care about Nasdaq? No. So so here is one of these accounts that they are different. So I've got a couple of them here, but they are different. And you will see that here, all of these, this is only one of them. I've got the main one. This is kind of more YOLO one. But the main one is all HG and natural gas, right? This one has a bit of YM in it. So it does have some equity indexes. But just YM. I haven't touched ES or NQ in a long, long time. So yeah, crude oil, we're sitting, this is the daily chart. So we're sitting at the top of the nearest swing high and reacting from it. So I would be maybe looking at shorts, not here because it already fell quite a bit overnight, but I would be maybe interested in a pullback and then further shorts towards these demands here, because it's a swing, right? If we look, we were talking about market structure on large box trading for the last couple of times I was on with Anne Marie, and this is exactly what we're talking about. If you analyze the market structure, what do you have? You have the high, you have the low, and another low. And some trend line people will be like, oh, but this is a, you know, high or low, we're in an uptrend. Really? Because here's how I look at it. I look at this as a demand area, right? And then what do we have here? We have a bounce from the demand area, and I don't know whether we're going to get any levels down here. So this is, I would need a continuous contract, but there's probably a larger time frame demand somewhere on the other side. Maybe we can go up to the weekly, which then kind of puts in more data. Yeah, so here we are. Yeah, let me make this bigger. There is a button here to make this massive. Is it that? No. I'm always like struggling with platforms. It's like, where is it? There used to be an expand button. I don't know what's happened to it. Let's try that. All right. It's because I'm on a laptop, I think. Now, this is a weekly chart, so massive. Where are we coming from? Well, really, I would argue that all of this is one big last demand area. And in fact, all of this as well. And where are we at the moment? Right there, right? That's the weekly chart. Now, usually when you run into demands, what tends to happen is that they establish, because crude oil has a short bias at all times, but when you touch a demand, it kind of starts to ping back from it and then starts ranging, especially in these like massive time frames. So as a product that has a short bias, I wouldn't be looking to long from the demand areas unless the day tells me that we've gone down, and then maybe it's like an intraday opportunity just to swipe a little bit of longs to the opposite side. But I personally would not be holding crude oil longs unless it's like over, I don't know, maybe into settlement or something, just like 30 minutes kind of time frame. So that's where we are. But on the daily chart, if you look at the structure, we start going down through the time frames. This is the nearest supply, so this is your established swing, low, high, therefore demand, supply. We touch the demand, went higher, hitting supply, reversing. So from a multi-time frame perspective, I would say daily chart is telling us shorts. From here onwards, I like to look at the daily intraday time frame, kind of the day time frame. So let's just delete these to clean things up. I have some Topstep levels here. I think weekly kickoff high is right around this area. I do believe this is one of them. I could put labels on, of course, and then I'll know which one they are. Let's try doing that. There we go. Okay, so weekly kickoff low 57.06, so 57. Weekly kickoff high, we've just gone through it. It's 61.90. So yeah, I would say Hogue's weekly kickoff level is acting as an accelerator to the downside at the moment. So wouldn't necessarily want to fight that. But do I trade crude oil for London? No, I do not. To be honest, I don't trade crude oil all that much, which is, you know, quite a big statement considering I traded it for 12 years and then it completely changed personality last year, so I'm not too keen on it anymore, which is why I spent, you know, a few months honing HG, PL, natural gas, which all, like, you know, I've traded them before, but I didn't have that much data. So I decided to spend about 4 months practicing, and then here we are, so it's all good. But yeah, I would not go against this. Let's see, crude oil levels. I need to take a look at the options. Look. But yeah, rollover, never really a good time to actually trade anything because the volume is like meh. Let's have a look. All right. We have some weaker gamma exposure levels on the way, but nothing that would make me think, yeah, this is going to be like a speed bump, like let's go long. I do see a former put support at 62, and then the stronger levels are all to the upside. So if this thing gives us a possibility of a pullback, a zone between 61.50 and 62 would be an area for further shorts. Now I have the VWAP, overnight VWAP, which is nicely tracking this movement down at 61.60. So again, that is another little indicator that shorts could be still in force here, obviously. But yeah, I'm not interested in crude oil myself, but hey ho, it is what it is. Yours Gaming says, are you a swing trader or day trader? Well, obviously I've been working in prop as an intraday trader for 14 years almost. So yeah, I'm an intraday trader, but I'm somebody who holds trades longer. So I hold, like my average hold time is about 80 minutes. So I look for good trade locations that can provide me opportunities that will make me a lot of ticks for as least amount of trades as possible. Now, of course, if we're in a range bound day, that's not the case, and then I will flip back to more kind of scalpy mode, even though you will never see me do 100 trades a day. I have never done 100 trades a day. If I do any scalps, that will be, you know, between 5 and 10 trades. And that's on different products. It's not on one product, because I trade natural gas, platinum, copper. I trade a lot of copper. Every so often I'll pop into YM. Sometimes obviously ES as well, but YM tends to be more like DAX to me, and DAX is something that I trade during the London session. However, we don't have that on Topstep yet. It's not that I've not been asking, but it's not here yet, as you guys know. Let's go back to copper for a minute, even though I think platinum might be the more interesting now. So platinum is popping above the initial balance. Let's see in 10 minutes where they end up, because I'm not rushing. We already have some profits on the week. Hit VWAP, okay, that's good. But now we just need to fail the auction as well. Any levels of note? Let's have a look. Platinum, platinum, platinum. Yeah, my level GEX 4 could be used as an orientation point, but nothing to write home about. So yeah, years. I'm not really a swing trader. I started off as a swing trader in 2007, but I don't do it anymore. Yeah. Connor Adams says it's 3:30 a.m. here. My train broke down, so I'm chilling in a Chicago lobby right now. Pasture life sounds 100 times better. Yeah. Yeah, let's have a look at what's happening with the news. Headline risk, still a thing. China Commerce Ministry. China always open to resolving economic trade relations offline. So what, they want to hide what they're doing? Where's the transparency, China? What is happening? Wow, okay, so just reading through the news. India offered a US deal, one with 0 tariffs. Okay. Interesting. That seems to be the main thing. 100 notifications like, India offers the United States a deal to impose no tariffs. No tariffs, India says. Christ. Iran agrees to terms. We want them to succeed. Okay. Some French CPI numbers came out. Anything else? Anything else? Anything else? I'm just looking for like anything to do with potential war-like things, or you know, anything that could affect crude oil, why it fell. Don't really see all that much. Ah, no, here we go. Ah, yes. So last night, Globex open. Here is what is bringing us Iran Iran to eliminate uranium reserves. Iran to sign agreement to relief from sanctions. Iran pledges to no nuclear weapons. So that's what's happened. Yeah, that will cause a reprice, right? Because there's no nuclear threat from one of the more fundamental nations out there. That's a good thing. Remember, when we have positive news, crude oil tends to go down. When we have negative news, that's a risk instrument, so it goes up, right? Hardeep is doing what he's not supposed to be doing. I lost a funded account yesterday, bought Combine and passed today, got a funded account. Hardeep, I would urge you to spend some time trading with low size rather than YOLOing it and creating more bad habits. But hey, what do I know, right? Alexander says, I live in Brussels, practically around the corner from a global perspective. Yeah, that's true. It's a doggo date, yes. Wall Street Wanderer, can you take a look at the Ultra Bond? I can, but I can't tell you much about it because I'm not a bond trader. Like Jack Bonds, Jack Pelzer is the guy for bonds. I mean, I can have a look, but it's like I'm just going to look at it and it's going to be looking at me and we're just going to be confused together. So, yeah. But yeah, I can have a look at it. Coach Hoop actually is really good for fundamentals. Like I have a rudimentary understanding of it because of the tests and stuff I had to do, but I don't trade it. I know that it moves a lot during monetary policy releases and events. Outside of that, I find it really slow. Because, you know, I do like my slow trades, but I don't like it when we go into like extended number of days of tiny little ranges. So you can see it here, actually, that behavior. This is a daily chart. Small movement, small, 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 small. Oh, probably NFP. Boom, boom, boom. FOMC. Boom, boom, boom. We move, and then we don't move. We don't move. Then we chill. And then we have a small range. That's the thing that annoys me about bonds, that it only tends to really have proper movement in and around the sort of rate decisions and stuff. So, you know, it's trending, but overlapping candles are the bane of my existence. Look at that. Look at this. To me, this is painful to trade. Intraday and swing. Because you're never like one time frame in higher, right? It's always like, oh, range, and then we break out, and then we come back into range. And it does my head in. I'm sorry, I just... I want my charts to look clean, you know? It's like, if you look at copper, when it trends, it really nicely trends, right? So, drop, 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 reversal. A little bit of a push-pull. And then up, up, mainly up. And then I think one of these was like a rollover, I think. Or they were waiting for something, I can't remember. But yeah, usually there's a reason. And the reason why I'm moving to platinum now is because copper is looking a little bit rangy, right? It's looking like it does want to go down, but it spent a number of days just overlapping candles in one area, whereas platinum is trying to break out. So if we look at platinum, spent the same thing, didn't touch it whilst we were doing this, but same thing when it moves, one time framing down, and then really nice smooth up, then again big smash down, big up move, and you can see the candle overlap is not that much. It just keeps pushing to new areas. So it's, to me, more obvious when these sort of products start to get into range. That allows me to not shoot for like 300, 400, 500 ticks in one day or over like 3 hours, but instead it allows me to switch strategies to respect the ranges, maybe do some reversals and consider both sides of the story, and then I rely on the time of day and some of my other strategies to do that. Pi says, yes, and RWAP dumping. Yeah, it'll be the Iran news, as I've seen. Let's have a look. How did I get into prop firm industry? I paid for it. It was an apprenticeship. It was a company that I don't think they're working anymore. It was a long time ago. This was 2013, right? So from 2012, I tried to do it myself. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna learn how to trade intraday myself. I spent a year and got absolutely nowhere. So I decided I was gonna go to the hub of prop trading, which was Chicago, which wasn't an easy decision. You know, I already lived with my then boyfriend, and we had a dog, and it was like me actually making a decision to F off for like 4 or 5 months. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary because I couldn't do it by myself and I really wanted to do this. So I paid, I think the apprenticeship that I took was like $7,500. And what did you get? You got about 2 months of training and a simulated account to test your skills. After that, you were given $19,000 of a funded account with a $225 loss limit, 1 mini, there was no micros, and overall $1,000 maximum loss. So much more difficult than now. So all of you people, and then once you got to the funded level, which happened after, if you pass like the whole steps and hoops and stuff, you would have to pay a desk fee. And the desk fee in that particular company was $3,500 a month. Now that was to be recouped from the profits. And they also did not pay us like arm and a leg, like 90% profit split. It was actually 40% to the trader, 60% would go to the company. So for those of you complaining, just shut the F up, right? You have no idea how difficult it used to be. It was not a cheap industry to get into, you know? Obviously sarcasm, right? I'm not swearing at you or anything. I'm just saying, you know, we have to be a bit more realistic. If we look at the history lesson where, you know, I just find it very funny. You know, you go on Twitter and everyone's like, oh, why are you not doing discounts? It's like, it's $49. It's like, really? Really? So, yeah. Brian Twactor says, how do you decide whether to go with a trend or anticipate a bounce? I'm having a hard time deciding what to do when the price reaches my levels. So here's the thing. I have a concept called time of day as a level. I don't know what the dogs are doing. Is it cows? The cows might be here. Let me just get them. At least I have another door between this office and the hallway and everything. So let me just do that. Otherwise they get loud. Right, we're back. It's not going to be completely quiet, but at least I have a little bit more isolated spaces for the sound, not the treble as much. All right, so the question was, how do I decide to go with the trend or anticipate a bounce? So I have a couple of ways of doing that. The first one is the time of day, right? So whenever you have changing sessions, that's the first time where some sort of a reversal may happen. But again, I also use the initial balance for the purposes of seeing whether the initial balance is actually popping to the side that I would expect it to. So let's say we have, let's find an example. Let's say Platinum, Globex VWAP. So I have an idea, shorts from VWAP, due to the trend, due to where we are, due to the fact that we've been in a distribution on a larger time frame. So, a lot of things goes into it. Remember, you're looking at someone who's been doing this for 18 years. And I'm a geek, I'm very data driven. So I've seen these events in various areas and iterations many times. But here is the initial balance for Platinum, okay? That's the initial balance. So what are we doing now? We're popping just above it. But now it's kind of struggling, and look at the volume, it just dropped off. So I'm looking at a potential for a failed auction. So sometimes what I do, I will front run a failed auction based on the level and the time of day that I'm expecting something to happen. So for example, this is now my setup. We touched that VWAP. We do have the 4-week volume POC from 4 weeks worth of data. And if you look closely, we have a localized supply just here. There was a doji and a continuation. Now, I don't really like doing automatic supplies from areas like that because they're not swings. So you have to have a long, then a supply, then a drop. Anything outside of that is a bit sketchy. So you have to use other areas to figure out what should happen. But of course, any level can act as an accelerator or as a reversal point. So I use a combination of initial balance, so situational awareness via the distribution curve study, which is what the market profile is, time of day for an assumption, statistically what we had before for that particular product, which granted is a little bit sketchier during London because you don't have things like option expiries, you don't have the main session, so something like DAX would be a little bit more appropriate for this time of day, which is why I like to trade it when I'm trading on my own account. And again, hoping that Topstep, now that they're becoming a brokerage, that they're going to bring it to us, for us, please. Yeah, so a couple of things. It's about situational awareness. So what I'm hearing when I see somebody asking a question like that is that your skills still don't allow you to decide whether you're going to do a short or a breakout. That's all I'm hearing. I'm not hearing, oh yeah, I don't know what to do here. It's like, that means that statistically you have not yet observed and defined your own playbooks, right? So I have very well defined playbooks. I have about 5 or 6 core ones and then variations on them, right? So for example, I have a setup that's called weakness inside initial balance, and the core idea is that you had a supply created during the initial balance and then it got extended to the same side, but then the auction slowed down, so now we're testing the same supply and still might be going short. But the variation of that is if you don't see a visible supply and yet there's VWAP cutting through it from Globex, so that would be a variation of the weakness inside initial balance, weeb as I like to call it. And then we have the standard ones from Dalton, failed auction, sustained auction. I have some of my day type evolutions because I needed it as a trader and it wasn't in the box and I kept seeing them. So I have a twist on the running trend day, which I call asymmetrical trending day. So what is asymmetrical neutral day, which is effectively a trend day that starts off to the wrong side of the initial balance, creates access to the wrong side, and then shoots up into a single print. And continues to go. So to me, like Dalton describes all of those as a running trend day, but I think that's a different reason. You have something called the 3I days as well, which I find not very good. And I think in the new iteration of Market Profile, he also said that they're not that relevant anymore. So I was right on some parts of it. But also remember that Dalton, if you are interested in that sort of analysis, he is an ES trader. What I've done is applied that same thing to crude oil, commodities, precious metals, whole bunch of stuff. And I've managed to find setups that worked well for my products. And this is the major reason why I have a course, because I had all of these new findings that people kept asking me about. And I was like, I'm not going to sit there and explain it to the same person. And this was many years ago, right? When video was really shit. So you couldn't really do these kind of sessions because the technology just wasn't there. And then I had to, either sit on Skype in a chat room and then explain the same thing over and over to 12 different people. So I started putting things up on a website initially, and then I started putting it up on YouTube when YouTube got a little bit stronger with video, and then suddenly got a ton of randoms coming and going, where do we learn this? And I'm like, I don't know. So I didn't have some sort of a master plan of like, Deeya's going to create a course. I sort of fell into it because of the need to free up my time, right? But yeah, deciding whether you're going to go long or whether you're going to reverse or whether you're going to use a level as an accelerator, that is down to your situational awareness. So what I would urge you to do is first define the playbooks that you can have around that level. For example, in the simplest term possible, you can have a VWAP reversal, right? Or you can have VWAP running through and increasing in volume and adding acceleration. Less likely. So then you break it down into probabilities. How often do reversals happen? And in what situation, right? Are we in a trending day? Are we, just starting glowbacks? Are we just starting London? How does that happen? And define it in something like a flow diagram. I define all of my setups in a flow diagram. This is where I'm a nerd. And I am a terrible gut trader. Like Anne-Marie and I are 100% in agreement there, right? We're both data driven. I can't trade through my gut. That's just, to me, my intuition has been wrong a lot. So I don't trust it, right? I need data. Data doesn't lie. Intuition is dependent on your state of mind, on whether you had an argument with somebody, whether you're feeling sick, or whether you're maybe a little bit tired because you haven't slept enough. It can be impacted by many external factors, and I don't like it, right? I would rather have a data set that tells me exact probabilities of an event than go, oh, I feel it's going to go this way. There was a guy in the 80s when I was a kid in Yugoslavia who was like this psychic dude, and he had a ring that he always used to fiddle around with, and then he would go, it's coming to me, it's coming to me, it's coming to me, and every time somebody goes, oh, I think it's going to go this way, that image pops into my head. It's coming to me, I think NASDAQ is going to go long. It's like, what are we doing here? This is a beautiful blend of data, science, and creativity, and I think that's why I'm so into trading, because it's probably the only industry where you can think out of the box and you can still have numbers attached to it. So it really resonates with me in many, many ways, and I'm absolutely in love with trading. Doesn't matter if I'm in a drawdown or if crude oil is torturing me or whatever, I still love it. I would not do anything else at this point. So, there's a difference between someone who's getting into trading and going, I want to get rich. I want to play detective. Is that weird to say? Parent Deep has a good question. How do you check volume on different time frames in order to capture a pullback or a continuation of a trend? So that's kind of on a similar vein of Brian's question. You know, how do you decide if it's a pullback or not? So again, I have a couple of different ways. First of all, I will use like options activity. So I will have some stronger options levels, like for example, on platinum, I have a couple of levels, and in the spirit of keeping this a little bit more efficient, we have a weaker GEX level at 975. We have a stronger one at 980. It is very likely that we might get up there, but I don't want to sit here and see a failed auction, because GEX 4 is a weak level, and I do use it for orientation, but sometimes they run through these levels a little bit too far before they reclaim them. So that can happen, especially if you have another strong level around like VWAP. So I will take a punt depending on my experience with that particular level. And then if it gives me an opportunity, I will scale in. I always expect my trades to go into some drawdown. I am aiming, because platinum is more like a micro, so it's like one platinum is $5. And therefore I have space to run a bigger punt, and then try and adjust my positioning once we get to GEX 1, if we do get to GEX 1. But really here I would like to see it fail around VWAP. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I am short biased on platinum because of the way the larger time frames work. However, if we get to COMEX and it goes higher into a clear sustained auction, we open above value, we touch value high, we go reversing from it, obviously I'm going to reverse with it. I'm not going to stick with my directional bias, because there's still a range here, right? There's still a range. It's trying to reverse, it's trying to go down. You can even call this, if you subscribe to the head and shoulders thing, it could be a beginning of a head and shoulders pattern. It could be. I'm just looking at it from the point of view that this was some kind of a stop run, this area here, and then we reversed and went all the way down to the demand area at 960.76. So now I would like to see a failed auction from VWAP and a continuation down. If I don't see that, I have other hypos. It's not a big deal, right? I have a mean reversion opportunity for the value. And actually, that's a little bit too high. So 989 is where I have the average daily range high for the entire day. So if we go into a mean reversion, I would not be opposed to running a long. But right now, I'm still thinking this whole bunched up area has a supply. It has a volume point of control from 4 weeks worth of data. But how do you check volume? Well, on Topstep, luckily you have volumes, right? Very easily. Here they are. It's a volume indicator. So you want to take that. You go here, you go volume. And literally it's called volume, right? Then it's going to print this sort of an action. And then you can have a look at it. I like to combine 15 minutes, 5, and 2 with my little ribbon on 2 minutes, and also time and sales. I always have bookmap on the other side as well, which allows me to aggregate the data from time and sales in a little bit of a better visual way. While I'm doing the streams, that's a little bit too much work and too much effort unless somebody else is driving. But for now, the way I'm seeing this is that shorts at a lot of volume. In order for us to truly break higher, all of this volume has to be greater than this one. And actually, that is something that I learned from Coach Jay. Trading is a venture of never-ending learning and development. There's always things that you can tweak, that you can learn. Nobody knows everything. But the way I'm looking at this, we have a supply visible on a 30-minute chart. So this whole area is one big supply. So there it is. We have that volume POC at 977.5. So that's somewhere around here. We also have the Globex VWAP, which is now overshot. But let's see if it reclaims it. If it doesn't reclaim it, we go up to 980 as the next point of interest. And at that point, if it's up above the initial balance, which is this particular area, from roughly 968.5 up to 975.5, I would want to run along towards that 989. So that will be my second hypo, but I don't have conditions for it. First, we need to close one 30-minute time period above it in order to validate it. Until then, this is all just nonsense, right? Now, let's have a look at the volume profile visible range on a super small time frame and see what the volume POC is doing. This is the second way of looking at things. And on platinum, I don't really feel like I need to use a 100-tick chart. All right, so volume POC, roughly around my entry, right? Let's watch it and see whether they move it away from this level and whether it moves up or down. Sorry, I'm being blind. This is the wrong line. Is it the wrong line? Yeah, so okay. So it's 969.8. Volume POC is actually really low down. So therefore this has less volume in it. But let's see what they do, right? This is a very low time frame, okay? We need a slightly different measure here than the one on a 15-minute time frame that has a lot more trading information inside of it. But yeah, I want to see the point of control moving up with this whole activity. And then I might be thinking, okay, they're creating like a little bit of a shelf on the way up. Therefore, I can use that to limit my risk. Therefore, you know, your stop would go underneath, quite a few ticks underneath the new volume POC. And then I will shift to the second hypo. And I'll be like, okay, that was wrong. It was valid, but that was wrong. Let's now move on to the next hypo and not have it paint your next decision because it was a loss, right? So I absolutely could not care less about losing a trade. I lose a lot of them. I've had a long-standing accuracy of above 43%, which sometimes does go up to 60, 70. And at that point, I'm smashing it, but usually those don't last long. And the longer you trade, said it yesterday, the more entropy increases. You cannot get away from that. So those of you who are basing your setups on 2 days or even 1 month's worth, 1 month obviously better than 2 days, but you don't have enough data to see where your edge lies. You don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to burst your bubble here. But, you know, basing your data on, you know, 1 week's worth of sample size, it's not enough time because not enough chaos is introduced via different market states. So here's the thing. I saw somebody in Discord going, D says if you have, 10,000 trades in a year, and here I am doing like 10,000 trades in a week. And I'm like, you've totally missed the point of time. Different market states, not what you are. Like, why are we so into our own selves, right? Just locked in with like, oh, but I do 10,000 in like one month. Surely that's enough. It's like, no, it's about you trading through different market states. That introduces entropy and that introduces chaos. That is what we need to build our risk models on. 1 year, excellent. 1 year, 10,000 trades minimum if you're a scalper. You don't have that? Work on getting it. Andrew Nader, is my course free? No, my course is very expensive. I don't want anyone and everybody. My course is mainly for intermediate traders who want to advance their skills. If you're a beginner, it's all going to go over your head because it's not for sheer beginners. I'm sorry. Yeah. What do you think on oil? nothing. I don't trade it during London. I think it's going short because the headline risk, whether that stays as a focus, that's another thing. Where's the GEX level? Gamma exposure taken from the options matrices. Are you only trading PL? No, I trade copper, I trade natural gas, I trade YM, I trade DAX, I trade platinum, I trade RBOB, sometimes Crude, even though Crude and I are going through a divorce since last year. Sometimes I trade gold, but gold's a bit too crazy. All right, let's have a look at gold while we wait for platinum. I'm going to switch platinum to a higher time frame whenever I'm trying to hold a trade. And if this starts to drop, this will be more of a swing trade, but not, right now it's just deciding to go straight to volume POC at 977.5. So let's see what they do with it. GC, let's do this and then do this and do that as well. Big time frame as a huge outlook. I'm just going to bring back the labels here because I have no idea what these are. There it is. Okay, so we are touching weekly kickoff low and going straight through it, maybe reclaiming it, maybe. I mean, this is a big wick and it's pretty much coming from an area of a previous demand. Not the best demand because it's just going up, up and up. But does this look toppy to you? This looks like it's creating a supply now. And with some positive news over Iran getting rid of nuclear, like uranium or whatever the news was, maybe this is an opportunity to keep selling gold. I don't know. We'll see as we drop through the time frame. Daily chart. Where are we? Middle of nowhere. Here's the high. Here's the low. So we have the low around the round number of 3,000. We have the high at 35.084. That's your swing. That's your reference swing. Does this have room to fall down to 3,000? Yeah. Could it whip it back up to the most recent supply after we broke through the most recent range, which was at 32.36? Yeah, that would be hypo too. So there are opportunities, but again, don't like the overlapping candles on the daily chart. That makes things very difficult. We're about to retest Hoag's weekly kickoff level. Let's have a look at the 30-minute charts as well. Yeah, gold showing strength. Why is it showing strength? Nobody knows, nobody cares. And I am going to kill platinum trade. Why? Because it went against me really quickly. Okay, so nothing more to figure out from the big time frame. So let's just start dropping through the profile. Where is my gold one? I thought I had it open from yesterday. Clearly not. No. Okay. I need to reopen a gold chart because it just disappeared on me. Remember, I don't have my main computer because it didn't survive the move. This looks newsy. Hold on. It looks newsy. What's happened? Do we have anything coming out? No. Don't see anything. But we've literally just had a couple of things moving across the board. So that. Oh, Eurozone industrial production. Okay, so maybe that was it. We had some news from the Euro area. Let's have a look at this gold chart. I do need to adjust this for COMEX, but right now we should be okay. Similar outlook to platinum actually. They're looking not too dissimilar. In fact, both are going into a sustained auction, reaching average session range high for London at the moment at 31.73. But we do have space all the way up to the value low at 32.19.5. Let's say 32.20 to round it up. That's the London value low. And currently in a sustained auction. But again, to me that would be statistically a little bit sketchy. I would like to see a pullback. Let's see what the options are doing in gold. What happened here? Gold. Are we still in M? We are. Let's have a look at where the puts and calls are. GCM. Almost there, guys. Didn't prepare gold. I do apologize. Usually I have more screens. Right now I'm working with like a bodgy laptop. Okay, so from the options activity, now that we had GAX3 at 31.65. We're now tracking above that. GAX1 is not until 3200. So if this thing indeed goes into another long, you have space until 3200, which is actually below the 3220. And 3210 is a very, very strong area where the gamma wall and a bunch of calls are located. So if it stays above 3165, maybe a retest of 3165 and then a further move up towards 3200. If it falls below it, this will be more of an auction fade hybrid, maybe into a failed auction, and then the higher time frames of those shorts that we've seen, they will be back on the table. So see, that's how you flip between hypos. You don't marry yourself to any one side. Like, you have an idea of where it should go, but also have a way to sort of invalidate yourself and have like 3 or 4 hypos that speak to both sides of the story at different points, rather than using the same level to go long and short, right? So here's how I create quality hypos. Let's go back to platinum because that's what I'm tracking now. There it is. So instead of going initial balance high, either a failed auction or a sustained auction. No. Initial balance. Let me just mark it up again. Okay, initial balance, right? Potential shorts around, let's say, value low, up at 995, for example. This is a level from yesterday. So shorts, I want to be a seller up here, encompassing this round number of 1000. So want to be a seller. Now this is intraday hypos, right? This is not like when you're a swing trader, you don't have this sort of, you have to get into a day with a bias. But as an intraday trader, you have this ability, right? And if this carries on, let's say higher, you can say, well, I'm going to run a mean reversion up. So this is your hyper 1, right? Want to be a seller. Extended move up, you want to become a seller. But right here, this is some of the toughest decisions because the price is just there. And it's like, what do we have? We have maybe some single prints, but they're not confirmed yet. We have a move above the initial balance, okay? So now, maybe we can see where some of these options levels are and decide to the strength through VWAP, which we've seen, is maybe valid, right? So do these two add up to this one? Just about. Maybe if we add this one as well. Just about, right? So that's the increase in volume. It's not that great. I would have liked to not see this much of selling because that means sellers are pretty strong, right? So we don't necessarily want to go against it. But if we come back down to 975, or even just VWAP 976, that would be an option. Now, if this is a strong auction, and if it just leaves single prints, I would need to justify that from a larger time frame, right? And then if it's a failed auction, I would need it to go below VWAP. But doing the flip and flop, flipping and flopping around the same level, that is the easiest way to chop yourself up. So don't do that until you're pretty advanced and you know what you're looking for, right? I do sometimes flip because of this. I have one idea, then I get strength from through that level, and then it shows me a number of data pieces that I'm wrong in the first iteration. However, I'm also very good at killing my trades well below my 350 to 500 risk that I usually designate for my trade. Some people don't. They go into a losing trade immediately and they just sit in it. And I'm like, it went against you in the first minute. You're wrong. No, it's gonna come back. It went above VWAP. It ain't coming back right now. If it comes back, you can absolutely, readjust and be flexible. But right now, that's not what we have. I think that sort of inability to cut trades and to admit when you're wrong, that's an ego thing. And I think that is something that kills accounts. I'm not hopeful in a losing position. Okay? If it goes against me immediately, look, if it goes against me super slowly, I'll give it a chance. I'm like, it's not exactly smashing towards my stop loss. But this one did. You saw how quickly it went. It just, I entered a trade, it's like whoosh. And I'm like, okay, I'm wrong. Try to trade, I'm wrong. It's fine. But some people would be like, oh, let's see if it comes back below VWAP. It's like, a 30-minute chart closed above it. It's like, we're wrong. Let's just take it on the chin a little bit and move on. Easy to come back from, okay? What's not easy to come back from is when you start sitting in trades that are totally losing for 90 minutes and you're like, no, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back. It's not coming back. I think that is probably the toughest part. Okay, so K-Bod says, how much PL cost in a single point? $5 per tick. There's no micros on Topstep. I don't think that anyone trades. Is there micro PL? Probably not. And yeah, it's not like NASDAQ where it's $5 a pop, but moves, a million ticks, gazillion ticks per day. It actually only has a range of about 204 ticks on average, which can sometimes go into big trending days that do 500 and 600, but it's not going to be like NASDAQ that has 1,500 range per day. All right, so I'm going to take a punt that this mean reversion is in force. Big stop loss, because if it comes back down to VWAP, I want to have space to readjust this and to still use between 35 and 50 ticks of stop loss. but I'm starting with just one. Because again, I don't want to dig a massive hole. I'm already up on the week across the XFAs. And if it starts to move in my favor, I will have to move the stop loss to my default stop loss if I want to add into profit. If it just moves like 50 ticks in my favor suddenly, which Platinum can do, I'm staying on one. I will not be adding to my core position, which should be 2 lots, because I'm working on the premise of 10 ticks, $10 per tick, since Platinum is 5, and I'm still using the same sort of stop loss sizes. I have the ability to go up to 2. So yeah. Joseph is asking why does your bid size show multiple numbers and multiple levels, but mine only shows 1 each. Joseph, it's because I have level 2 data. It is a paid for extra thing from CME, which, by the way, it's not Topstep charging you, it's CME charging you. They just pass on the fees to you, and it's 39 bucks. I don't know, I just pay it automatically, but don't quote me on that. Bruno will know. So yeah. And let's see whether some sellers have appeared here. You see, this is where I don't like breakout trades, but it is what it is. I have to follow data. I can't follow anything else, so I need to sit here and breathe. If it goes to minus 0.5 hour again, I will obviously kill it again, and then we'll be done. Then we will wait for COMEX. At least we've got a trade, right? Sometimes I don't even have a setup. This is a nice sustained auction potential. We just need it to move. Make a move. Staying on a 2-minute chart now to track. What do you want to do with this? Yeah, okay, Joseph, it's $39 a month. Rebill is the 1st of the month. So if you were to buy it now, they're also going to bill you on the 1st. So it's just how data fees work. They work on a calendar month, not intra-month. So if you get to like the 20th or 25th and you buy $39 worth of data on the 1st, they're still going to charge you again. So that's CME. It has nothing to do with Topstep. Topstep just passes on the fees. So yeah. Alright, where did my YouTube go? There it is. Eric says there is a micro platinum, it's $1 a tick, but not on Topstep X, I don't think. Yeah, so we always only have the big boy here. The big boy. Right. Lots of selling here going on. I don't like that. If it's a true sustained auction, we should see volume even on lower time frames. And we cannot go underneath this ribbon. I mean, we can, but as long as we pull back into the ribbon, the longs are still on. If it goes back to test VWAP, then I'll probably close this again and just try again later, because I don't like to flip and flop too much around the same level. So I give myself 2 tries. 3rd one, I decide whether it's a good opportunity or not. I get off the small time frames. If I've lost 2 trades on the bounce, I will stay on 15 and 30 minutes and look at a 4-hour chart and just sit and wait. So I'm not like the more you lose, the less you should be staring at tiny time frames. Obviously, if you're doing well on small time frames, yeah, it's great. MJS says, how can I be a part of your VIP group? VIP group is just a draft. It's a random draft, so I don't think you can choose which group you're going to be in. At least you couldn't last time. I don't know, maybe they changed that. BK says, sell low, buy high. Sometimes. There's times when that's appropriate. Beautiful natural lighting, Trader Yamo says. Yeah, except I have a ring light here. But other than that, it's a beautiful natural lighting. Does level 2 data fee go for my XFA balance on my credit card? Always the card that you use to buy your combines. I don't think they have the XFA balance transfers in that regard yet. Anyone trading GC or NQ? Yeah, a few people, but not me. I don't know, you have to choose your battles. If you really love GC, that's great. I'm not too keen on it, and I'm somebody, again, who traded, and I still do trade GC when the market conditions are right. But when they're not right for what I'm trying to do, I'm going to go somewhere where the pain is less from the point of view of looking for swings intraday. So yeah. All right, we've got a little bit of time. Yeah, so all this is level 2. If you go to something like NASDAQ, they actually have 100 up, 100 down. I don't know whether you realize that. Okay? But because I trade non-popular products, they only give us 10. So Mick from the risk team, we were on together for lunchbox trading, and he kind of popped in, and he goes, "Dee, you trade the weirdest, weirdest products." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me, the prop firm weirdo. Here we are." And then we had a little chat about copper, because he tried trading it, and I said, yeah, as long as you watch the volatility index for copper, and I have a cutoff point, like let's say if copper is sort of below 20, I will be like, no thanks, I'm gonna wait. And similar to platinum, if it's below 29, 30, it's a little bit sketchy. So when it gets to 28, 29, I'm like, all right, we've come up, and it also matters whether it's increasing or decreasing. So if it's like increasing, then I would start trading platinum around 29. If it's decreasing, as soon as it falls below 30, I'll be like, ew. But yeah, C-vol is a very good indicator of what sort of strategies you should be using. And because I trade multiple products, I have the option to move away from a product if it's not doing what I want it to do. So CME. Oh, let me log in. I know I'm logged in already. God. It's been a long week. It's not over yet. Sorry for yawning, by the way. Alright, now this is the wrong thing. What am I looking for? C-ball, platinum. Let's hope that this is going to bring me to the right page. Here we go. And I was going to say token expert. I don't want to. No, I need metals. Metals. So yeah, platinum is 26. However, a couple of days ago, it was going from 25 to 29. Here we go. So you can see it here. In April, it was almost ready, and then we kind of bled through the 28, and it's kind of like sitting in the previous area where we kicked up. So there was one point where we fell to about, whatever this is, 25, bounce from 25, we're going to bounce from 25 again. This is just a volatility index, and it shows me if there's a swing potential or high volatility. If there's high volatility, I expand my targets like massively, and I just run the same kind of swings time-wise, but with much bigger ticks. And this is where time-based stops are better for me than price-based targets. So if you have a price-based target, but you have a trend day, which is better? Is it holding a trade for like 500 ticks, or still sticking to 70 tick target even though it has more potential? Freddie Z has a good question. How much weight do you give oil inventories reports when they're reported? None. None. Why? Because they're always wrong. I'm telling you this from the standpoint of 13 years of looking at inventories come out. And then what they do, they always go into a whipsaw, right? So once the inventories come out, for the first sort of 15 minutes, it's literally a non-event. After that, it sort of decides to go into the some sort of a move, but I will be honest, it's never a huge trending day, or almost never a huge. Like, let's put it this way: 3% of all inventories will end up as a big proper trending day. The rest of them either have a limited auction day, where after the release, like half an hour after, they sort of decide where they're going to go. And then all the rest of the times, it's a complete nothing burger. It's like the release comes out, whip, shakes everybody out, and then nothing. So how much weight do I give it? Probably not much weight until we get to the next day, right? So until we get to the next day. Sometimes on Thursdays we can have the inventories going into a trend, but it takes a full day for that to actually manifest in the markets. So yeah. Janine says sub D, yeah. How do we join the VIP group? Just watch out for the draft, right? So I'm doing group coaching through Topstep. So, you know, my personal coaching is a different kind of thing. I'm very choosy. And actually up until, I'm actually not sure I'm going to be taking on anyone else for this year for my personal coaching. I've got quite a lot of stuff to do with Topstep. I still have courses, and there's levels, right? So there's bronze, there's silver plus, bronze, silver plus gold. Gold is the one-to-one via a forum. So you have contact with me, but again, that's a lot of work, and I can only give my time to a very limited amount of people at once. Now, through Topstep, obviously they're doing it via a group coaching system. Sad. Okay, I'm adding here and leaving this at 45 ticks. So I'm in with 2 contracts because this jumpiness in volume is pretty decent. Let's see if we can go up to at least the ADR high. I mean, ideally I would like to see it all the way up at 995, and then we can run another short swing like yesterday. But for now, it's a sustained auction, mean reversion from an area called the 4-hour kilo. Yeah, so my own courses, they have differing module, like the lectures are very similar across all of the pro dev, but the level of contact is pretty different. So bronze, for example, has no contact, there's no coaching. Silver and silver plus do have a coaching portal where you can use that to ask questions about lecture concepts, but we're not going to be giving you feedback when you're trading. And then obviously gold is the one where me and 2 other coaches are usually working. Now, right now it's just me because I haven't taken on too many people. But when things get busy, if I decide to open up for more people, then I usually have at least 2 other people. Actually, Coach Ray, he was one of the coaches in there because he was my trader he was a Mark Stoker's alum, and then he was really good. Like, I was so impressed with him. I still am. So I asked him if we could do some coaching, help me out on days when I was being quite busy. And this was I think about 3 years ago now. Yeah. And then he said to me, "Hey, Topstep is opening up the things for coaches. Like, do you mind if I?" And I was like, "Go, go, fly, it's fine." And now we're both coaches at Topstep, which is mind blowing. But yeah, Ray is probably one of the most patient traders that I've ever met. Very calm, very, it's great. So yeah, for any kind of personal coaching, I'm very picky. But there is, Mark Stalker's Thinkific website. That's the only place where the Pro Dev program is available. So you can check out my YouTube channel, and then behind, not this channel, but the actual Mark Stalker's channel, it's underneath this video, which Topstep has kindly provided for us. So underneath every video on my own channel, you have the first link to the main program. So that is where you find that. Don't, if somebody's DMing you, that's not me, okay? And if somebody is asking you to trade crypto, that is also not me. I have a scammer on Facebook. Wasn't able to get it down, even though I told multiple people to report it. I reported it twice. They have deemed that the page that's impersonating me and going around trying to scam people does not break community guidelines. And I had the same issue with Instagram. So it's like, So yeah, the only place where you'll find my courses is markstalkers.thinkific.com. That is the only place. I do have social media, but I would rather that you go to the actual site that, is associated with me. The rest of it, I never know whether you're getting the right account, whether it's somebody who's like _ Market Stalker, or, or I don't know, Market Straker or something. They always kind of change the names. So be very, very careful if you're using social media, because we never know. How did I do? Oh, 10 trading. Yeah, Francis. What's up? Haven't seen you in a while, man. What have you been doing? Busy? Yeah, good. That's right, Trader Yaml. Ray has had his account for 5 years. 5 years. Ever since he passed the first combine when we were working together. So he came to me as somebody who was struggling with NASDAQ. And I looked at his report and I looked at what he was doing, and then we started chatting and he started submitting his plans, and I was like, okay, I mean, you're actually really good. Like, what's going on here? And then we worked out that it was his mental triggers because of the NQ behavior, which, by the way, bothers me as well, right? It annoys the hell out of me. So he actually passed the combine, didn't tell me he was doing it, and this was back in the day when it was like 2-step combines in 2019. He's had the same account for all that time. How amazing is that? That's what we want. We want longevity, we want consistency. All these people who are like 100 grand one day, 70k down the next. Oops. Like, don't do that. Just, stay consistent, slow and steady. You can size up and then have the same sort of non-variability on bigger size, but you have to earn that. You can't just go from 0 to hero immediately and just go, today I trade micros, tomorrow I trade 100 contracts. It doesn't work that way. We have an adjustment that has to be made as we are learning, right? And it's irrespective to what kind of money you're making outside of trading. There's still a growth to be done as a trader in a prop firm with a combine. Otherwise, you'll be making the same mistakes, same everything. You're basically a toddler learning a new skill. And until you have enough experience in that new skill, you're still a toddler. And then we grow up. Then we learn to walk, not crawl. Then we learn how different market states behave and how we behave during them. 747. I'm just trying to put a marker on my other chart. On this current trade that I'm in. This is going to be so slow. Yesterday, platinum didn't really start moving until midday, which is another hour. So I might be in this for a while. It also had like a bit of a neutral day, so that's fine. That's not happening today. We're not in a neutral day, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it picks up speed and goes up to that 989. I don't think I have time to shoot for the full 995. Because here's the thing, I don't like holding it through COMEX. Why? Because you can have a pullback in the opposite direction, and then you're like, meh, what happened? What happened? We're hitting X1 right now at 980. So let's put a marker down. Oops, what happened? Am I still streaming? I just had my OBS disconnected. What happened? Still streaming. Okay. I'm still streaming. Alright, I don't know what happened there. It's like OBS just went disconnected, but now it seems to be fine. Starlink weirdness, man. Yeah, so I know people say one time frame or a couple of time frames combination, but here's the thing. I do use situational awareness for that purpose, but then I jump through time frames. So I go 2 minutes, 5 minutes, usually even 10 minutes. We don't have that here. 15 minutes. Is there a sign of a strong rejection at X1 that will make me bail? It's a bit non-committal. How does 3 minutes look? So far, they're still trying, right? It's not the strongest, but they're still trying to push back towards it. I want to see the price over it again. But also on a 2 minute chart, I have my little ribbon that's giving me extra information. Let's see what happens around 980. If they reject again, I'm probably going to be bailing out of this trade. Because then they don't have enough juice to break out GEX1. Break out of GEX1. So yeah. Yeah, Bruno says I cut for a few seconds. Okay, I managed to reconnect though. First little snag towards the end of the stream. That's all right. Yeah, and just you wait. It's gonna be my husband messing around with the internet. Like, oops, we're streaming. Yes, I was. He did that to me the other day. Not while I was on the stream, but I was in a trade and I went outside to the patio area, and suddenly I had no internet, and I was like, oh, so it doesn't reach this far? And he was like, oh no, sorry, I switched it off. And I'm like, trade, what are you doing to me? Alright, so I'm gonna watch this GEX1 to see whether we can break through it. If we get a rejection, obviously it's gonna become fairly obvious and it's gonna go below the ribbon, so the strong sellers should push it below it. If that doesn't happen, the trade is still valid, but I do need to see it above 980 because this is my orientation point. For now, we're creating more buying around the 90 MA on this very tiny time frame. Next point, if we manage to break upside, is 985. It is a weaker GEX level, GEX5, and then we have the big boy at 990, which is also the average daily range high and my target for this trade. So actually, I am going to put that as a target. 990. And then we'll see if we can get some traction. So 980, 985, and then target at 990. Those are your points to look out for. We battled through VWAP, so we went higher. I was initially short because we were underneath, and you know the market structure was telling me at the time short. I was wrong. Now I flipped the position into a mean reversion trade, which was another one of my hypos. But now it's just a matter of volume. Come on, push. So we'll see what happens into the midday. Yeah, let's see what comics brings. It's Thursday. We have another day before the weekend. So yeah, as we get to the end of the week, if you've had profits, don't mess it up, right? You don't want to F things up on a Friday, right? I've seen in the VIP, people have smashing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then Friday comes and they give it all back. And I'm like, guys, bell curve of trading activity, okay? As you get into the end of the week, size down if you really want to keep trading, and if you can size down. Obviously, if you're trading one micro, there's no sizing down, so just take the day off. You know, you've done your job. It's enough. All right, I'm going to finish it here while I babysit this trade. It's not really doing much, is it? It's like we've sat here and it only moved barely like 45 ticks. So yeah, since the breakout from the initial bounce, I need the follow through for my style of trading. So if that doesn't happen, then shorts might be back on the table, but not for now because we still have single prints and we need to wait. That is it. I might see you later. I'm not sure about the schedule today. I thought I was on Friday, but I'm not sure. I'm going to have to reach out to Dolby. We have a whole new system of scheduling, and right now it's not working. But yeah, we'll work it out. Anyways, I'll see you again. I'm definitely going to see you for that lunchbox trading tomorrow, Friday. If you don't see me, have a great weekend. This has been the Euro Trade on Market Stalker D. I'll see you again very soon. In the meantime, take care.